Welcome to On the Couch. I'm Maria Velasquez.
And I'm Kundai Vera.
So today we're going to talk about something that we actually have an entire segment for. However, we want to discuss how this has affected us as one, South African people, two, as business owners, and three, as parents, because I think a lot of the times we do not realize the impact that situations have on our kids, and we need to bring that to the forefront.
Okay.
So what are we talking about?
Maria's talking about toy.
Okay, so we've all been glued to our TV screens a few weeks ago, watching as South Africa was burning to the ground. We pretty much...
That's dramatic.
Well, was it not burning down to the ground? KZN.
Not the whole country.
If it continued, the whole country would, because although figuratively, yes, there were fires,
This feels like it
but
escalated
economically,
very quickly.
it was crumbling to the ground. You may be lighting KZN, but that little fire there affects the economy of South Africa.
You can see Maria's very heated. We just started a segment and you're just on fire. How long has been burning in you?
A while. A while.
Burning inside you. Should get a shot for that, a penicillin.
Antibodies.
You want penicillin shot burning inside there.
Okay, but I mean, as a South African, one, I was extremely embarrassed to sit there and watch things falling apart. One, because I think we rely so much on foreign investment to grow our own country.
True.
And to be able to put on Sky News and CNN and watch my hometown, by the way, my hometown made it, with guns and looting and fires burning, and it as a South African, I was truly embarrassed.
I think you were shocked more than embarrassed.
I was also hurt
Yes.
because at a time of need, the politicians were playing different cards.
Okay.
In the little sleeve, that black dark sleeve, they just pull out like magicians. They were pulling out these cards and inciting more violence than it could have been extinguished.
True.
Okay? Media, I'm sorry to say, but our news channels are shocking. Okay? They did not report from an unbiased perspective. They were extremely biased.
Listen, not a lot of you know this, but I'm from Zim. Now, a lot of us Zimbabweans, and some of my friends who know I'm from Zimbabwe, were like, hey man, are we going to become the new Zimbabwe? Here's what happened, right?
Yes.
Zimbabwe took 5-7 years to get there. Y'all did it in 3 days. Well done. You guys are pros, bruh.
We pride ourselves on that.
You guys are like, you guys are fast.
Yeah.
You're the O's. 3 days. That's all it took. It took Zimbabwe years.
Yeah.
And what it took Zimbabwe years to get, because I think I realized this is exactly the same as what happened was when there were lines to the petrol station.
Yeah.
Because that became a thing. That was when Zimbabweans are like, go bad. Yeah. But y'all did that in 3 days. I know. So we both have friends who own businesses. And all of my friends were like, so you're going back to Zim? I'm like, no. I've lived here my whole life. I've been here since 95.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was basically raised here. The thing for me because you mentioned that you want us to talk about the effects on our kids. I am unhappy with not just the looting, but what our children have been having to go through for the last 3 years.
Yeah, for sure.
Our children have not had normal lives in any sense of the word.
Yeah.
And what is normal to them now?
Yeah, look at it. I mean, we went through a global pandemic. We were locked up in our houses. We're still locked up in our houses. Our kids aren't allowed to play with their friends or even have, I mean, online schooling, okay? Not being able to associate with your peers, just having to go through all of that. That's already taking away from kids. Now, to be able to show our kids the fighting and the looting and the burning of buildings and the destruction of what our beautiful country is, it's psychologically depressing.
Yeah, not to mention the psychological aspect of it. I mean, we were shooting the interviews about all the stuff, and I went into that building. And from outside, it still looks almost the same. You can see that the walls are charred a bit. But once I walked in and the smell of just everything has been scorched, and walking through, and like every step you just hear a crunch of like ash, and like the camera was just covered in ash. Like I had to like clean the camera. And you walking through this thing, and that was the first time I was like, I'm so happy I have a mask, because like it was overwhelming. The floor was basically burnt off. There was no floor.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, what do these people do now? Because people worked here. People left their homes and came here to earn a living every day.
Yeah.
And now all of this is literally in ashes.
You know, they say that the looters were looting because they didn't have food and there's no employment.
But now there's even more unemployment.
So think about your repercussions. It's always important that every action has an equal
An opposite reaction.
and opposite reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So when you go and loot, when you take away the food, when you obstruct any way of food being able to be delivered, there's not going to be food. So now we're going to go hungry anyway. When you burn businesses, how many people are going to lose their jobs? Now you're adding to our high unemployment. So if your intention was to bring awareness of, oh God, you know, there's no food and there's no employment. Damn, you did a good job. Because now...
Actually, I want to know, like, because we don't know who they are. They're obviously instigators and planners because it was too coordinated. There's no way. This is not chaos.
No, but also there must have been coordination. A whole group of thousands of people won't just congregate and decide, oh, we're going to go and burn the buildings.
The way they did some of the looting and the break-in.
They were going to a particular place, getting the forklift, knowing that, okay, the only way we can get into that building is if we use the forklifts, because that is not going to work. They burnt certain buildings, you know, they left other buildings. Also, like when they went into Springfield Park, the first day it was looted.
Yeah.
The second day, there was another group of people that came to dismantle all the solar panels. Looters are not going to take the solar panels.
They took every single, like every time I drive, because I drove past there on the way here, and I was looking at it, and I was like, every single solar panel in this whole parking lot, and it was a big parking lot.
It was huge.
I was like, every single solar panel.
Listen, I can't understand.
That's not hunger.
That's not hunger. That's been destructive. That's been destructive because, I mean, in one of the interviews, I remember somebody saying that they ripped off all the fiber cables.
Yeah. At the manhole. Why? Because fiber has no value.
So what was that about? Just destroying infrastructure?
Which is actually why we moved to fiber, because copper was being stolen all the time.
Yeah.
Fiber has no value on the street. Like, you can't sell it for scraps.
Yeah.
It's useless.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's one thing that I want to talk about, and it's been bottling up inside me for a while now, because
Oh, there we go.
Here we go. We were not we. A certain group of people just decided, okay, forget the looting, forget the burning of the buildings, forget the violence, forget the vandalism. It's racism.
Yeah.
Okay? And I'll tell you why it's upsetting me, because it's not been racist.
Well.
Okay, I'm not saying there's no racist people around.
Yes.
Because there are racist people.
Yes.
You dig deep within, you will find the people. And I'm not saying that there aren't racist people.
Yes.
Okay? What I'm saying is, don't be quick to pull out the race card, because there are people in communities.
Here's my question though.
Yes.
Racism towards whom, from whom?
But that's what I need to understand. Okay? Because
also, like, I mean, one of the places we filmed was in Waterloo, which is literally like in the township.
yes.
Right? Every single one of those shops, besides the main spa in that center, actually no, including the spa, because the owner is not white.
Yeah.
I mean, every single one of those shops is owned by black people.
Okay. And did they protect themselves from the looters?
No, they were all looted. Like, the only person who survived was Spelele, because he slept in the shop, and when they would come, he would protect the shop.
Yes.
But everything, and it's not like the people don't know the owners.
They know the owners.
They know the owners.
They probably even work there.
And even in some of the other townships, they were robbing the Shisanyamas
Yeah.
and the taverns.
Yes.
Those are owned by black people.
I think what they were talking about, when the community started standing up and saying, you're not going to come into this community. We're going to protect our community. And listen, violence is wrong. Nobody has the right to harm, hurt, kill another human being. It is wrong in every in every way you can look at it. Okay?
Because violence begets more violence.
Violence begets more violence. Okay? But remember that a community will stand together to protect their property, their family, their lives, their businesses. Because remember, communities were built around the fact that people worked hard to build up what they have.
Yeah.
Nothing is given to people. You work hard for what you have. If I come now to take away what you have violently, are you going to protect it from me?
I noticed that the communities were protecting the shopping centers.
Yes.
So, like, if I drive down the road from where I stay,
Yeah.
right, none of the shops were touched.
Yes.
And I know they weren't touched because we had people out.
Yes.
Right, with guns and the securities and all those
Yes.
people, right? So we had people out protecting the shopping centers. But then the question was, because I remember the one night where people were saying, are they coming into people's homes? And it seemed like no one was, because if they were going to attack homes, people were going to die.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter who you are. If you come into my house, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
you come to my house.
Yes.
Like, and it's not even about like if a normal robber comes into my house, I'm going to kill you.
Yes, but I also think that this is where media have let us down as South Africans. Is what they've reported was extremely biased. They did not give a proper report of what was going on. In fact, the way they reported the situation incited more violence. Because now they're talking about racism. They played the racist card. They played all of those cards. So now what happened? People started now comparing what is happening now to 1949 riots. Let's stop living in the past. We need to now say, right, today is 2021. What happened yesterday, I can never correct. But what happens tomorrow, I can control.
Us as a group of people sitting here at this table are not of the same class as the people we're speaking about when we talk about hunger and class is a very big thing in South Africa that a lot of people don't actually see, and I want to make it clear. So, if you actually go into Alexandra, or if you go into like, let's say Umlazi, but certain sections, because a lot of the sections a lot of the sections we see on TV and stuff, these are people who live in homes with electricity and water, and who even go to some of the private schools, and some of their siblings are working in good companies and they have money and whatever the case is. And there was someone who, the person who made me understand this and really think about it critically, because I've seen it myself, is that we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram. We are all sharing comments and speaking about this stuff from our perspective. But the people who are the poor people in this country don't have the smartphones. They don't have the Facebook and the Twitters to comment and share their perspective and whatever the case is. The other thing was, they are not necessarily angry about race. They are also angry about the promises they were made. They're not necessarily complaining about apartheid, because apartheid was the card that was used in order to get their votes.
Yes.
Right? And also, they were made promises, and those promises became more and more, realized these were never going to come true, especially when the pandemic hit. When the pandemic hit, a lot of them still had no jobs. But because we were under lockdown, they couldn't hustle the normal way they would hustle, because you wouldn't get people being able to even street vend like they used to, right? And even those people who are doing that kind of stuff, they are way more privileged than the worst of the worst in our country, right? And there's something I realized is that because when we stand in those lines, there's no racism.
No.
When we were standing in the lines at Spars and the Pick and Pay, the Checkers,
We didn't see that.
we didn't see that because all of us live in the same world.
Okay, can I ask you something? I'm going to stop you there.
Yeah.
All right. When we moved from an apartheid system to a democracy, which is, again, I studied law, is a piece of paper that means very little.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
People voted for a government. The government has been in existence since 1994. It is now 2021. The poverty is because of a failure in government to provide what they promised for. It is a failure to act on and behalf of a country. Okay, so the people who have had businesses destroyed, they're not the government. The people who are fighting in their communities to keep their shops safe so that their families can have food is not the government. All right? If you think that by burning these places that the government is going to suffer in any way.
Here's what I want you to understand. Those people, the majority of those people, don't know that. And that's the problem, is that we assume they do. They've been manipulated for years. They've been manipulated to do things for years. But we assume they're educated enough and they see everything and they understand everything the same way the other 95% of us who live in the suburbs understand it.
All right, now that I've vented a little bit, I'm sure you all have things to say, thoughts on what exactly happened. But if I could leave with just saying one thing, I think it's let's never forget the past. Remember what it's done. Remember what it's taught us. But let's move on. Tomorrow we can control. We can make this place extremely successful, and it depends on all of us.
Don't make it that whole make something great again. Like it's
No, please, no more hashtags. No hashtags. Everyone's lives matter. We are all human beings. We cut ourselves, we bleed. Yeah, sis. All right, that's us.
That's us.
Ciao.
Peace.